how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Crimsonpanda here. So in today's video we're going to be checking out some theory crafts. So that's going to include a mercenary from the new expansion, which is coming out on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. We have a channel giveaway at 2,000 subs, which we're really close for hitting, so make sure you're a part of that by subscribing. Now with that being said, let's head over and check out these builds. So this is the first comp. So as you can see, we have a standard Valera opener. So we have Grom, Valera, and then we have Galvagar. Now the reason I wanted to put Galvagar in a comp like this is because of his bleeding ability. So he's got his rendered cleave, which deals 8 damage AoE to a mercenary that hasn't acted yet. And with Valera being able to speed up the entire board, he's going to go off straight after her, which now allows you to get, what was that, 24 bleed damage on the first turn, and you're going to be scaling with that as well, dealing 16 damage to each mercenary the following turn if you go to queue up the same ability. So I thought it's really interesting to see that they've got such a high bleed damage now, not 5 with an ability, it's like based on an attack, which is really good. Also, the Fury of the Frost Wolf passive equipment is really good because it gives you +5 to all your characters. So Valera is going to be doing extra damage, and so is Captain Galvagar. So I really wanted to try this out. This is probably going to be the first build I try out. I'm going to try and max him first because of this. And also the Fatal Strike, dealing 8 damage to an enemy, and it can't heal for 2 turns. You don't have to queue that up turn after turn. You can literally do that once, stopping some of that heal, especially if you're against an Anduin comp, or if you're trying to focus down a Malfurion and you want to stop one of them from getting any heals from him. So yeah, really excited to try this one out. We're using a common nature bench because Malfurion's heals are just too good, Cookie giving them additional health, and Brucon's additional chain lightning, where it's been buffed now, where it will not kill something that's already dead, it won't hit it. So if you've got something really low health in the middle and you're queuing up a chain lightning, then you're going to be able to avoid that minion altogether. It's going to hit it once, and then you're going to get a lot more control over where your second bounce goes. It's not going to go in the middle, it can go to the left or the right depending on where you've chosen it to go. So that's why I'm using the nature bench. I think nature's going to shine even more now that Brucon's got that buff, but we'll have to wait and see. So that's it for the first build. I'll run through the equipments with you. So we got Halt and Sash with Gromosh, we have Valera's Unnatural Smoke, we have Galvagar's passive, which is Fury of the Frostwolf, we have Malfurion's Light Roof Staff, Brucon's Lightning Rod, and Cookie's Appetizers. Okay, for the second build we have an Ice Lord build. Now this is a Frost build. Now the idea behind this one is we're going to be using the Ice Lord in order to scale up his frost damage with his Frigid Winds. Hopefully we have no speed manipulation in this build other than slowing the enemy down a little bit with Vardun, but the idea behind this one is we're going to be using Cornelius to try and protect our Ice Lord and our Vardun, so that we can hopefully go last on the attack if they're still running Valera, trying to keep our Frost guys alive. And we're going to use Frigid Winds to try and pair that with the Hailstorm and also Vardun's Flurry to try and get masses of frost damage AoE across the board. Hopefully, because the Ice Lord is red unit, he is going to be dealing quite a lot of damage, hopefully to Valera, getting that first kill off on turn 1 if Cornelius manages to protect them. So that is the idea behind this one. I hope it works. I'm really excited to see if it does. And then as our bench, because we're starting with a blue, double red, we're going to just use Karen, Diablo, Cookie on the bench, because I imagine that blues are going to be our biggest threat in the late game once they've killed off the Ice Lord. So I'll run through the equipments with this build. So we have Vardun with the Chilling Amulet, Cornelius we're using the Shield of Dawn, the Ice Lord we are running the Frigid Winds, Karen we are running a Resurrection, or Reincarnation, sorry. We got the Black Soul Stones for Diablo and Appetizers for Cookie. So that's it for this one. Let's head over and check out the next one. Okay, so next up we have a Belinda build. Now with Belinda, we're going to be using her in a Frost type comp. So we're going to be using her with the water elemental equipment so that we can get a summon straight away. Now the reason we're doing that is so if we're up against Valera, it has to attack into the frost elemental and will get frozen. So with that being said, we're then going to be using Vardun's Band of Frost to proc that and get a +3 frost damage on turn 1. And then we're going to be also using the Ice Lord in order to come down and have an extra +3 damage with his turn 1 Hailstorm. So that's going to be doing 6 damage instead of 3 across the board. But depending on what you choose with your Belinda, we're going to be using a flame dart in order to try and single something out as well. So that's going to be +6 frost damage. That's going to be taken from the hailstorms. So hopefully this one works. The idea is to just try and scale up and try and focus on something whilst freezing out their Valera for the second turn. If something does die on turn 1, then we're using a nature bench. Now, the reason we're using the nature bench is because the Brucan, again, is just going to be so strong after this update goes live because of the chain lightning. So I'll run through the equipments with you. So Varden, we're having the Band of Frost to get the +3 frost damage. And then Belinda, we're going to be using her water elemental. And then the Ice Lord, we're going to be using his +20 elemental. So the reason we're doing that is so that we can keep the elemental alive for as long as we can. If you don't want to be using that one, you can actually use its Icy Focus to try and get the Hailstorm to do a lot more damage. We'll see which one is better as soon as the update goes live and we can actually play with it. And then the standard cookie appetizers, Malfurion Light Roof Staff, and Brucan Lightning Rod. Okay, so next up we have dragons. So we're going to start our opener with a Ratharan, a Cornelius, and a Sinstra. Now the idea behind this build is to try and use Ratharan's true form on turn 1 to try and transform him into a dragon, which will then give him 18 attack, which would be 6 from the true form, plus the 12 when he's maxed. And then we're going to be using Cornelius to try and protect our units while we come in with the Sinstra, because Sinstra is going to attack an enemy, and if we control another dragon, which we will because of the Ratharan, then it's going to bleed damage for 10. Now that's really cool because I think bleed is going to make a big change to the game now that it's quite a lot of damage to the bleed, especially if you manage to hit like a Valera which goes stealth or something that they're trying to keep alive and kind of forget about the bleed damage they're going to take. But then we're using Cornelius really to sort of set up a Twilight Extinction turn, so to heal this merc by 20 and to deal 30 damage to all enemies. This is a green, so it's going to do 60 to the blues, which is going to be huge. So I'm really excited to see how that one's going to play out, if that ability is going to be good. It's only got the 1 cooldown, which is really strong, so you can do it on turn 2, which is when Cornelius can do his blessing turn, where you're not going to take any damage to that mercenary. Plus you get the 20 health as well. Cornelius also heals him up AoE at the start if we end up going slow. So can't wait to see how Dragon's going to pan out in this next expansion. We've got 2 new ones technically, so it's going to be fun to see how that works. And then we're just using a standard nature bench, so we've got Cookie for the appetizers to give them us that little bit more life. Also the bleed effect is there as well, so that could be cool. We have Malfurion just to give them a little bit of heals, a little bit of speed manipulation in the late game. And then we have Brucan as well for that lightning rod being buffed is going to be so good. So with Ratharan, we're going to be using the Horn of Ratharan to get his true form. Cornelius, we're going to be using Shield of Dawn. And then with Sinstra, we're going to be using the either Hook Talons to try and get that extra bleed, or the Shard of Voe to see if that second cooldown really does have an impact. We'll have to test it to find out. And then Cookie, we've got appetizers. Malfurion, we have Light Roof Staff. And Brucan, we have Lightning Rod. So that's really it for the first look at Theorycrafts. These are really quick builds. They're not anything I've really looked into or play tested anything yet. This is just kind of what I wanted to use going down the line to see if they're any good. I hope you guys will try them out as well, and if you do and you enjoy them, let me know in the comments below as soon as this update goes live. Subscribe to the channel so you can be entered in that giveaway like I said. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.